بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد Bismillah, let's inshallah continue then with the tafsir of Surah Al-Baqarah from Ayah 114. Inshallah, we will try to take up to and including Ayah 123. So let's recap first of all, inshallah, the Surah Al-Baqarah. This is a surah which we have started before Ramadan. In fact, quite much before that. And we want to, inshallah, continue, but we want to have an overview of this surah as we go along. And what we should be doing is that whatever we study in 1 week, we should recap it ourselves. And we should try to read the whole surah from the beginning up to where we have finished, so that we can, you can, inshallah, and we can all get a very clear picture of this surah, yeah, repeatedly. So every week we should have this ongoing interaction with the Qur'an. So please do that. Read Tafseer, listen to this surah, read the surah, the meaning yourself, think about it, and study the diagrams that we use. Think about the group of surahs we are in, so that this becomes part of our DNA, inshallah, yeah, as we are going along. The more effort we put in, inshallah, the more Allah will guide us. Inshallah, Ameen. May Allah guide us to His guidance with the Qur'an. So if I then share my screen with you. So let us look at again the summaries booklet, which is available from the QuranicFramework.com website. So when you go into the resources section, we see the summaries booklet, and in that there is the summary of the surahs of the Quran, and before that there is a brief section over 3 pages of the Quranic overview summary, which divides the Quran into 6 groups of surahs, and we are currently in the first group of surahs, as we have been mentioning throughout, which is the central theme of which group is the Sharia. The Sharia is the guidance of Allah, which He gives His creation to reach Jannah and His pleasure. This is a Sharia. And within this group of surahs, if we go further down, you can see the breakdown in this group. The framework of Al-Baqarah has been given there in those 4 points. And then Surah Al-Imran is summarized in a few ayat. And then Surah An-Nisa and Al-Ma'idah. So we should have a clear understanding of this, at least this group of surahs, yes. So group 1 is starting with Al-Fatiha and Al-Fatiha. So what I'm going to do in the next few minutes, I'm going to summarize a summary of group 1 surahs for you, in case you have joined new or you have forgotten, etc. Yeah? So get ready. If you have pen and pencil, that would be the best thing. Pen, paper, you should have that. You should make a note of this so that you learn this. Yes, learn this, inshallah. So Surah Al-Fatiha is a dua for guidance. And then Allah Ta'ala, He responds to that guidance by revealing the whole Quran. However, in group 1, we are given the framework of this guidance. So in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah, He gives us the basic framework of this The second is Islam. And then he gives us a vision as an ummah who is seeking guidance, as Muslim ummah who believes in Allah, of course, seeking guidance of Allah. It is telling us that we have to convey this message. And then the Surah Al-Baqarah goes on to tell us, how do you achieve this vision? You achieve this through infaq, which is to spend your resources, and jihad, which is to stand against the opposition of this guidance, which is, of course, Shaitan and his agents. So Surah Al-Baqarah gives us a very strong, robust framework of belief, our practice, our purpose, and the path we need to tread in order to fulfill our aims, objectives, and our vision. Surah Al-Imran then goes on to tell us, how will you achieve this? You will achieve this through unity. And it highlights 3 ingredients for unity, as you can see here: taqwa, fear of Allah in every aspect of life, of our lives and of our life, and to hold on fast to the Qur'an, to understand it, to act upon it, and to invite to its message and live a life in order to implement the Qur'an. And lastly, do not entertain any kind of division, because division is the handiwork of Shaitan. This further then tells us in Surah An-Nisa how you will create this society. You will create this society with the building blocks, and the first foundation block is family. So the family is the nikah, the marriage between a man and a woman, a male and a female. And Allah, He has honored the male and the female with their roles. Yeah, Allah has given the female and the male very specific roles which honor the male and the female to be true believers. And then how to live as a family, as a community, and as a society, what will bring your minds and hearts together, and how you will organize yourselves on a practical daily basis. And then Surah Al-Ma'idah addresses us as an ummah, because if we have a family system which is based on the teachings of Allah and His guidance, which has the vision which has been given in the Qur'an in Surah Al-Baqarah, and these units of society are holding fast to the Qur'an, then of course inevitably they will implement the Qur'an in its entirety, and therefore they will live the deen as is expected and as is in the favor of its adherents. So this is a very quick summary in a few minutes of the first group of surahs. So you should learn this. I urge you strongly. I urge you strongly, learn this. Please don't just listen to this. Yes, learn this, study it, know this for sure. Because the more we are clear about this, the more we will be able to seek and help others to seek guidance, inshallah. So this is the summary of Surah Al-Tawf, Group 1. Now, we now zoom in to Surah Al-Baqarah. No pun intended, we zoom in. But with zoom in, we see here in the Quranic diagrammatic overviews, which are all available on the website, theQuranicFramework.com. We see that Surah Al-Baqarah is essentially telling us that you have to now be prepared, and you need to take up the responsibility, O believers or Muslims who have just migrated to Medina. You are going to establish a society based on guidance upon Sharia. And your objective is to convey the message. This is why you have been created. Ukhrijat linnas. Yes, you have been created for mankind. You will convey the message of Allah. So the beginning section of Surah Al-Baqarah introduces the Quran to us first and foremost by telling us that this is a book which is without any doubt from Allah, and it is the remover of all doubts. So if we have any doubt about anything, then the Quran is the remedy for those doubts. and it highlights the attributes of belief, disbelief, and hypocrisy, invites people to worship Allah, and also tells us, reminds us of the challenges that lie ahead of us by highlighting the past in the incident of Adam and Iblis, to remind us on this path of guidance, you will find misguidance at every step, which will be induced by shaitan, so be on your guard. And if you slip and you make a mistake as humans, and you will, then do tawbah, and Allah will accept that tawbah when you try to come back and do the right thing. So this is mentioned in the first section, and then after that, the section we are currently in is this section of the surah, ayah 40 to 141, where Allah is telling us the previous ummah, the previous Muslims were the Bani Israel, the children of Yaqub, and Yaqub, he is the descendant of Ibrahim. They were given the responsibility of being custodians of this religion, the Islam, which has never changed, the deen has never changed, and it has been the same since Adam alayhi salam, but they did not fulfill their duty. In fact, they committed the worst crimes against themselves and against humanity. So now, therefore, they are being disposed, and they are being removed and being made redundant. And now this responsibility is being put onto your shoulders, O Muslim Ummah. So this is an introduction again. And if you know this, then inshallah this is revision. So the next diagram essentially details the first section, which we have been through already. And we are currently in this section, section 40 to 141. And this is, as it says there, an invitation to Bani Israel to believe in this final Sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam now. And it explains why were these people dismissed from their position of being leaders of mankind towards the guidance of Allah. This has many purposes. One, it has the purpose of inviting Bani Israel back, giving them an opportunity to do tawbah and to accept the final messenger. It has the purpose of guiding the believers to be mindful of these pitfalls and of the misguidance and the attitude of the Bani Israel, so that you do not fall into the same error and therefore become blameworthy and become maghdubi alayhim, those who anger Allah. So we have looked at all the sections. I'm not going to run through them now. And the section we are currently in is section 5, and we are hopefully inshallah going to finish section 5 today, because we are starting from ayah 114, and we will inshallah hopefully finish this today. So what has been said in this section so far, a very quick recap. Allah has told us about some of the historical aspects of Bani Israel, especially the subjugation by Fir'aun of Bani Israel, and how Musa alayhi salam, he saved them and he crosses the sea with them, and then Allah favors them. He gives them all types of blessings and guidance and His mercy and forgiveness, even though they commit the most heinous of sins, even shirk. Allah Ta'ala, He gives them an opportunity to do tawbah from, as well as murder, etc., etc. But they still persisted in their racial arrogance, their racial prejudice, and their self-inflicted perception of being better than everybody else. So Allah Ta'ala, He is addressing this, and He is inviting them one by one to rethink their stance, and also inviting the believers to be strong in their conviction and their obedience to Allah. So from ayah 114, you can see here, we will look at the invitation to Islam to the Bani Israel and their racial prejudice, and we will mention shirk here, the shirk of the people of the book and the mushrikeen, their attitude toward the revelation, and they will be in the end Bani Israel. This section will end, the address to Bani Israel directly will end with ayat 123, where Allah Ta'ala, He invites them to do tawbah and He warns them of the last day. So with that in mind, Inshallah, let us take the ayat. Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 114 to 123. So we will find here, Allah is mentioning here, one of the crimes that the people of the book and the mushrikeen, they have all had a share in this, or they have all committed this, which is to stop the true believers from remembering Allah in the places that Allah has designated for His worship. And the most obvious two places have been Masjid al-Aqsa and Ka'batullah, which is the Haram. Then the ayat will go on to talk about the Qibla. It will also talk about the shirk of the people of the book and the mushrikeen. It will then talk about their attitude towards the revelation, and it will warn the believers that these people, they will never ever follow you. They will always want you to follow them. So be on your guard. And then in the end, you will find in these last two ayat, 122 and 123, the direct address to the Bani Israel comes to a closure with the repetition of some of the ayat which were previously mentioned in this section. So let's just read these ayat first. So I will read these in Arabic, and if you understand Arabic, then all good and well, you follow me. But if you don't understand the Arabic, then please read the English meaning while I'm reciting it. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن أظلم ممن منع مساجد الله أن يذكر فيها اسمه وسعى في خرابها أولئك ما كان لهم أن يدخلوها إلا خائفين لهم في الدنيا خزي ولهم في الآخرة عذاب عظيم ولله المشرق والمغرب فأينما تولوا فثم وجه الله إن الله واسع عليم وقالوا اتخذ الله ولدا سبحانه بل له ما في السماوات والأرض كل له قانتون بديع السماوات والأرض وإذا قضى أمرا فإنما يقول له كن فيكون وقال الذين لا يعلمون لولا يكلمنا الله أو تأتينا آية كذلك قال الذين من قبلهم مثل قولهم تشابهت قلوبهم قد بينا الآيات لقوم يوقنون إنا أرسلناك بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا ولا تسأل عن أصحاب الجحيم ولن ترضى عنك اليهود ولا النصارى حتى تتبع ملتهم قل إن هدى الله هو الهدى ولئن اتبعت أهواءهم بعد الذي جاءك من العلم ما لك من الله من ولي ولا نصير الذين آتيناهم الكتاب يتلونه حق تلاوته أولئك يؤمنون به ومن يكفر به فأولئك هم الخاسرون يا بني إسرائيل اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم وأني فضلتكم على العالمين واتقوا يوما لا تجزي نفس عن نفس شيئا ولا يقبل منها عدل ولا تنفعها شفاعة ولا هم ينصرون. So let's then inshallah take this ayah by ayah. Bismillah. ومن أظلم ممن منع مساجد الله أن يذكر فيها اسمه وسعى في خرابها. And who are more unjust than those who prevent and stop people from mentioning the name of Allah in His masajid, in His mosques, and they strive towards the destruction of these masajid. أولئك ما كان لهم أن يدخلوها إلا خائفين. It is not for them to enter them except in fear. لهم في الدنيا خزي. For them in this worldly life there is a disgrace. وَلَهُمْ فِي الْآخِرَةِ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ, and for them in the hereafter will be a great punishment. So this is mentioning now the attitude of the people of the book and the mushrikeen towards the houses of Allah, the masajid. Those places that Allah He has designated, specified, sanctified, glorified to be the places where Allah Ta'ala He is mentioned and where the as-salat is established. Allah is saying the worst people are those who stop people from this action of remembering Allah. And they do not only stop them, they work towards the destruction and demolition of the masajid. So in the history we find that the Christians, the Nasara, they have committed this crime when they demolished Bayt al-Maqdis in Jerusalem, the masjid, and they helped Nebuchadnezzar, Bakht Nasr, in this destruction. And we find the mushrikeen, they are doing the same in Ka'batullah, where they are stopping the believers from praying in the haram and to glorify Allah in the haram, where they are worshipping over 300 idols. And they have expelled the believers from Makkah. They have stopped them from Salah, from Hajj, from Umrah, all of these which are associated with the Masjid of Allah, especially the Kaaba. So these are the worst of people. Allah Ta'ala is saying that these are the crimes they have committed. And they have worked hard for its destruction. One, it can mean the physical destruction, as we mentioned, of Bayt al-Maqdis, but also the spiritual destruction, the destruction of the masjid, because it has been created, it has been built for just the worship of Allah alone. And when it is being used for other than Allah's worship, then this is the worst type of destruction. In fact, this could even be worse than the physical demolition of a masjid. Allah Ta'ala is saying, أُولَٰئِكَ مَا كَانَ لَهُمْ أَن يَدْخُلُوهَا إِلَّا خَائِفِينَ. These people, they will never enter in this except in fear. So there are a few things that this can mean. One, it can mean that you should only enter the masjid of Allah with fear, because you are now going into the presence of Allah. So the true believers would always have the khashya of Allah, the fear of Allah, when they are entering the masjid, and they would ask Him. Therefore we ask Allah Ta'ala, Allahumma aftah li abwab rahmatik, oh Allah, open the doors of mercy for me. So this should be the attitude of the believers. Regarding those who have stopped the believers and they pursue the destruction of these masajid, very, very soon, this ayah is saying that they will not enter this but subjugated and fearful. Yes, they will not enter this except they are subjugated and they will be fearful, because the dominance will be for Allah. And we see this just after a few years, that the believers, they enter Makkah in the 8th year of Hijri, and they conquer, and then the disbelievers, after a year, they are stopped, they are censored, they are completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Yani they were prohibited, is another word, banned, you could say, banned from entering into even the haram. And the Prophet ﷺ, in the Sahih Hadith, we understand that he said that all of the kufr and shirk would be removed from the Arabian Peninsula. So nobody can enter except that they would be subjugated and they would be in fear. For these people who commit these crimes against the believers, لَهُمْ فِي الدُّنْيَا خِزْيٌ, they will be disgraced in this life. And this is just a part of the punishment, but the real punishment will be the great punishment in the hereafter, because they stopped themselves. يَصُدُّونَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. They stopped themselves and others from the path of Allah. So this is the mention of the people in the past and in the present who were doing this crime. And then the Qibla, which the Jews, especially the Jews, the Bani Israel, they made a big hoo-ha out of it. There was a great propaganda campaign against the believers when Allah Ta'ala, He changed the Qibla, as we will see further on in this surah, especially from the second juz. And then that will reach its climax in Ayah 177, where Allah, He will mention that your understanding of the importance of the Qibla is skewed. You gave over importance to the form of worship and you ignored the spirit of Allah's command. So Allah is saying here, do not make a big fuss of the Qibla, because as we mentioned last week in Ayah 106, Allah Ta'ala, He abrogates. Nasikh, Tansikh, Nasikh and Mansukh, He abrogates some of His commands by commands that come later. So His command initially was that Kaabatullah, that Ibrahim alayhi salam, and before him Adam alayhi salam, he built, this is the Qibla, direction for you to pray. But then in His wisdom, He changed this to Jerusalem, Bayt al-Maqdis. But then He restored the Qibla back to the Kaabatullah. And this is Allah Ta'ala's prerogative, and this is in His wisdom and His knowledge. And the true believers, they obey Allah. The spirit of obedience, the spirit of worship is obedience rather than just the form. So Allah is saying here, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ. To Allah belong the Mashriq and the Maghrib. Yes, the Mashriq and the Maghrib. So the Maghrib is associated with the Jews and the Mashriq is associated with the Christians. Yes, perhaps because it mentions Makanan Sharqiyya, about Maryam Salamun alayha, that she would worship towards the eastern part of the Bayt al-Maqdis. Yes, and the opposite of that was the direction for the Jews. Khair, anyway, Allah is saying direction is all for Allah. فَأَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا. So wherever you might turn, فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. You will find that Allah Ta'ala, He is there to respond to your call. Yes, He is there to respond to your call. Allah, He is not limited to any one direction. Yes, His command is to face this or that direction, but that does not limit, yes, your obedience. Your obedience is in the direction that He has decided. This is the whole point of it. It is not specific to just one direction. Inna Allah wasi'un alim. Allah, He is wasi'. Wasi', all encompassing, and He has great wus'ah, meaning His mercy is vast. He makes it easy for you. Yes, He makes it easy for you. So now there are many things that you can study in the Tafseer, and please don't ask me any fiqh question, yeah? I tell you that many times, but people want to ask fiqh question. I'm just going to mention what the Tafseer mentions, just to give you an idea. Yes, so in the Tafseer, and if you read Ibn Kathir, etc., you will find this, that the ulama have extracted from this, and by looking at many of the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ and the qawl of the ashab, the companions, that if you endeavor in your prayer, as we should do, to find the right qibla, and we later on find out, for example, we are traveling and we find out that, oh, this was the wrong direction, then there's no big deal. Yeah, there's no big deal because we tried our best. And even to the extent for the nafil prayer, the Tafseer mentions for the nafil prayer that the Prophet ﷺ was known to even to travel on his animal and pray nafil prayer. So yani, the point being made here is, do not overemphasize an aspect, yes, which Allah has not overemphasized, and do not limit it to something Allah has not limited it to. Rather, obedience is the essence of worship. Yes, Khair. So another problem that these people had, the Jews, the Christians, and the Mushrikeen, وَقَالُوا اتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ وَلَدًا. They all say that Allah, He has taken a son, subhanah. Of course not. Glorified be He. Allah, He is above this. He is perfect. He does not have any need. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. Nothing is like Him. So the Christians, as we know, they said that Jesus is the Son of Allah. And some of the Jews, some of them, not all of them, a small fraction of them said, Uzair ibn Allah, that Uzair is Ezra is the son of Allah. And as we know that the Mushrikeen would say that the angels are the daughter of Allah. Allah Ta'ala is saying that all of you are wrong. Allah, He is above this. He is not in need of any awlad, of any children, and He is not like His creation. Creation have children for a purpose. Yes, it is the continuity of the race. It is the continuity of life. Allah, He is not in need of this. So how dare you and how silly can you be to equate this with Allah, who is the creator of life, as the next ayah will emphasize. بَلْ لَهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. In fact, contrary to what you are saying, He owns everything in the heavens and the earth. Yes, you need children, you need to have people. Yes, He is not in need. كُلُّ لَهُ قَانِتُونَ. And all of His creation is subjugated to Him, is devoutly obedient to Him, either by force or by choice. Yes, or by, instead of saying by force, we should say by their very nature or by their choice. Because every creation other than the human and the jinn has the choice to worship Allah, and everything else by its very nature is worshipping Allah devoutly. And who is Allah? He is Badi'u Samawati wal Ard. He is the originator of the heavens and the earth. He created the heavens and the earth without nothing, without anything, with nothing. He created creation from nothing. He created something from nothingness. Yes? So He has created something when there was nothing before it. He was creating when there was nothing before it, meaning how dare you now associate something with Allah? Badi'u samawati wal ard. So this is bada'a, yeah? Creation ex nihilo, which means to create without anything before it. وَإِذَا قَضَى أَمْرًا. And when He decides a matter, فَإِنَّمَا يَقُولُ لَهُ كُنْ فَيَكُونُ. For Him, it is as easy as soon as the decision He makes, it is for us just to explain to us that it is as easy as saying be, and then the thing is as Allah wants it to be. So how dare you now try to equate this need of a son or a daughter to Allah? This is against every rational, every principle that you can think of. And then another problem these people had, وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. The people who had no knowledge, لَوْلَا يُكَلِّمُ اللَّهُ أَوْ تَأْتِينَ آيَةً. So they said this throughout history. They said, why doesn't Allah speak to us directly? Or why does He not send us down an ayah? So this has been the case throughout history, that their objection has been baseless objection. Yes, thinking of themselves something worthy they are not worthy of, by saying that we should have received the revelation from Allah directly. Yeah, as if to say we are worthy of it. And Allah, He has mentioned this many times in the Qur'an. Allah Ta'ala, Allahu ya'lamu haythu, what is the ayah? Haythu yaj'alu risalata. Allah Ta'ala, He knows better where to place His messenger, who to make a messenger. Yeah, Allah, He is better to know that than you. As if you are saying Allah needs to learn from us. Yeah, astaghfirullah. Aw ta'tina ayah. Or why doesn't Allah Ta'ala send us an ayah, a sign? Sign here means the observable visual sign, the miracles that were given to the previous messengers. For example, in Surah Al-Isra, there are many of these ayat that they demanded. For example, why doesn't Allah Ta'ala send down a book that we can touch? Why doesn't Allah Ta'ala send down a treasure to this messenger? Why doesn't He create in the desert a spring that would spring, where the water would spring and gush out, and He would create a garden, and like many, many other of these questions that they asked. The problem is that these people, they don't really want to listen, and Allah Ta'ala, He gives a commentary of this from history. كَذَلِكَ قَالَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ مِثْلَ قَوْلِهِمْ. People before them, they said the same thing. تَشَابَهَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ. And it's interesting, this is all because, it's very interesting, this ayah. It is all because their hearts are the same. Their hearts are the same. Their hearts have the disease of kibr. They have the disease of arrogance and thinking we are better. Just because in this section we saw a few ayat that mentioned the Jews and the Christians, they said we are better. Nahnu abna'ullah wa ahibbahu. And then the Christians say that the Jews are nothing, and the Jews say the Christians are nothing. And then they say nothing will touch, the hellfire will not touch us but a few days, and nobody will enter until they are Jew or until they are Christian. All of this is their prejudice, their kibr. Yes, their kibr, where they think they are better than other people, and they refuse to follow the truth, even though it is manifest. تَشَابَهَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ. Their hearts are the same throughout history, and today you will find the same thing. And it is quite interesting in Surah Al-Qamar, if I'm not mistaken, it mentions التواصوا به, I think, التواصوا به, that these people, listen to this really carefully, throughout the history that we know from the Qur'an, etc., and currently, you will find the same questions and the same arguments are put forth by people who don't want to follow the Qur'an and don't want to accept this message. Same. Yes? Okay? They will not be different at all, but you have to dig a bit deeper when the person speaks to you. That's all. And you will find that underneath, this is the problem that is underlying, which has been already addressed by the Qur'an. So their hearts have the same disease, and you will find this the same. And so in Surah Al-Qamar, as it says, "Atawasaw bihi," it seems like all these people, they got together, in some space capsule, in some time warp, and they all agreed, that we're going to ask these questions. You get the gist of what I'm saying, okay? So for da'wah, you have to learn the Qur'an, and then every problem will be solved. Any question about anything, and any allegation, anything, Qur'an will give you the answer. Qur'an will give you every answer. قَدْ بَيَّنَّ الْآيَاتِ لِقَوْمٍ يُوقِنُونَ. And Allah Ta'ala is saying, they do not want to see the signs because we have already shown them clearly every sign, but it is only for people who want to attain certainty. Yes? They don't want to attain certainty. They have set off to attain doubt. So if you set out to attain doubt, then you'll never find certainty. Okay? So this doubt, Shaitan, he gives nice words like progressive thinking, yes, research and development, okay? To say that you are in doubt of everything, skepticism for everything, keep an open mind about everything. So this is the trick of Shaitan when it comes to the revelation. Yes, for our worldly knowledge, yes, we should be open-minded, of course. But the Qur'an is not acquired knowledge, it is absolute knowledge which Allah has revealed. So for those people who want to acquire this yaqeen, then all the signs are there. Inna arsalnaka bil haqqi bashiran wa nadhira. And all the signs have been sent, and you have just been sent with these signs, with this haqq, you warn people and you encourage people. You give them the good news. If you believe in this, you will enter Jannah. And warn them, if you refuse, then you will end up in the hellfire. This is your job. وَلَا تُسْأَلُ عَنْ أَصْحَابِ الْجَحِيمِ, and you will not be asked about the people who would become the companions of the hellfire, because upon you, وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينَ, upon you, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is just the conveying of the message. You cannot guide whom you love. Yes, you can't guide anybody. The guidance is upon Allah. So you carry on conveying the message, showing them the ayat. And remember, these people, they are very hard nuts. Yes, you should know this. Yeah, but you carry on, despite the fact that they will not listen. That does not warrant. Does not warrant. That does not take away your responsibility. Yes, of conveying the message. وَلَن تَرْضَى. وَلَن means they will never. Never. وَلَن تَرْضَى. Never will be pleased with you, the Jews and the Christians, حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُمْ, until you follow them, their way, meaning their deen. They will never be happy with you. Yes? We think we are very clever. We are doing this, what it is called, this, when all the faiths get together, interfaith. And we think we're very clever. Not very clever, to be very frank with you. Yeah, these people will never let go of you and be happy until you follow them, until you become Jew or Christian. Okay? So, وَلَن تَرْضَى أَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَلَا النَّصَارَى حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُمْ. Until you follow them, they will never be happy. Don't think you can please them. You only want to please Allah. Convey the message to them and pray for their guidance. قُلْ, say to them, إِنَّ هُدَى اللَّهِ هُوَ الْهُدَى. Be clear. Be very clear that the guidance is the guidance of Allah. That's it. There's only one guidance. Guidance of Allah. You cannot say all paths lead to the same destination. You make up all paths. They don't lead to the same destination. No. You have no authority to say that, because you are talking about Allah. Yes, you cannot say about Allah what Allah has not said about Himself. This is a lie, this is an allegation, iftara, against Allah. So the guidance is from Allah, and the guidance is in the Qur'an now. وَلَئِنِ اتَّبَعْتَ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ. And as for the sake of argument, even if you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was to, not that you would, but if you were to even follow their ahwa, their desires, after the fact that this knowledge of the Qur'an has come to you, then you even, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, would find no helper and no protector against the adhab, because the guidance is for everybody. There is no exception. Yes, nobody is an exception to this guidance where you can dream. Yes, this is not fairy tale land where you just dream your guidance and it becomes the truth. No, the truth is the truth, and that is in the guidance of Allah. So from these people, however, there are some people who actually did accept the truth, yes, and they did accept the messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Regarding these, Allah mentioned, الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ يَتْلُونَهُ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ. Those to whom we gave the book, we have given the book, recite it with its true recital. So I will mention this in detail now, but just to give you a summary of this first, understanding of this, what this is saying is that the people of the book, yes, who would read their book and follow it honestly, correctly, sincerely, fully, they are the people who will also follow this guidance, because the previous scriptures have mentioned the coming of this messenger. So therefore, they will give it its due right by following it. Yes, so that's one meaning. So that's why it says, أُولَٰئِكَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ. For those people, then they will also believe in this book. Is this clear, yeah? So the people of the book who read their own book that has been given to them, they will also, because they follow it as they should, they will also believe in this book. Okay, that's one. The other is, any believer who reads this book, who does tilawah of this book as it should, those are the people who really believe in it. So now I'm going to explain this. What does it mean by yatluna haqqa tilawatihi? That they do the tilawah of this book for us the Qur'an, as is the right of it to be read. So make a note of this, please. Tilawat. This is probably one of the most misunderstood words in the whole Muslim Ummah. Tilawat. So the biggest misunderstanding is that we think tilawat is just to read. This is the biggest problem. Because when we say this, that means we don't have to understand it. We don't have to know it. Obviously, if you don't know it, you can't follow it. If you don't know it and follow it, how can you call to it? So this is a big misunderstanding. Tilawat means, number one, to read it properly, meaning you should know the alphabet, you should know the rules, you should know the placement of every word, every letter, as it should be, correct reading, number one. Then after that, you act on the muhkamat, you act on the clear verses, and you believe in those which are mutashabihat. Number three, you learn its meaning and you know therefore what is halal and haram. So therefore you will follow its teachings. And another meaning, which is all from Ibn Kathir, different Sahaba, they have given this meaning, yeah? These meanings. Haqqa tilawatihi means that whenever you read about Jannah, you ask Allah Ta'ala for Jannah. Whenever you read about Nar, Jahannam, you ask Allah Ta'ala's refuge against the Jahannam. So whenever you read anything about anything, you always respond to it as a dua. So here we have read, الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ يَتْلُونَ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ أُولَٰئِكَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ. The people who believe are the people who give it its right. We should ask Allah, oh Allah, make us from these people who read it as it should be read, or do the tilawah as it should be. Yes, this is what we should do. وَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ, but those who disbelieve, بِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْخَاسِرُونَ, they are the people who are the greatest losers. When you read this, we should say, oh Allah, save me from being from these losers. This is haqqa tilawatihi. And this is the sunnah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Every ayah he would stop and he would respond to this. Haqqa tilawatihi. And then to conclude this section, which started, if I'm correct, from ayah 40, I think, ayah 40, it started. Allah Ta'ala is again addressing the Bani Israel, yeah? Ya Bani Israel, O children of Yaqub, the 12 tribes. Uzkuru ni'mati, remember my favor upon you. So this was mentioned before this ayah, these two ayat in fact. Remember my favors, allati an'amtu alaykum, that I gave to you. وَأَنِّي فَضَّلْتُكُمْ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ, and I preferred you over the worlds, meaning I gave you a status of leadership over the worlds. وَاتَّقُوا, and now finally, after all this section, yeah, over how many now, 40 to 100 is 60, 82 ayat, roughly 80 ayat, have been mentioned about your history and your crimes, and you have been given the opportunity to turn back. Allah Ta'ala is saying, وَاتَّقُوا, fear, and save yourselves. Wattaqu means save yourselves now. Make the preparation now to save yourselves. يَوْمًا لَا تَجْزِي نَفْسٌ عَنْ نَفْسٍ شَيْئًا, from the day when no person will be able to help or give anything to any other person. وَلَا يُقْبَلُ عَنْهَا عَدْلٌ, and you will not be able to compensate. Yes, give anything in compensation. وَلَا تَنْفَعُهَا شَفَاعَةٌ, and it will not benefit, no intercession will benefit you. وَلَا هُمْ يُنْصَرُونَ, and the day when nobody would be helped. So this is a warning. This is a warning to the Bani Israel. Fear Allah and the day when you will not be saved. All of your thinking about somebody will save me, or I will be able to be saved, or somebody will intercede, this is all false. Tilka amaniyuhum. These are your wishful thoughts that you have dreamt about. There is no reality to back up these wishful thoughts. So therefore, what is the conclusion from this? Believe. Believe in this book and this messenger, and follow this book and this messenger. Yatluna haqqa tilawatihi. Follow it as it should be followed. And then Allah Ta'ala, He has said in other ayat and in the hadith that the people of the book who believe in this messenger, Muhammad as in Surah Al-Hadid, they will get twice the reward. There's twice the reward. One for following their own people, own nation, or own ummah as believers, Muslims, and now when the truth came to them and they realized this is the truth, then they accepted this so that they would get twice the reward. So be people who would be given the reward. And then the next section, as we will see, inshallah, from next week, and as you can see here, is a section about 17 ayat. They talk about Ibrahim alayhi salam, because this concludes the address to the Bani Israel, and the address specifically to the Bani Israel, although periphery is to do with the mushrikeen as well, but really specifically for the Bani Israel, that Ibrahim alayhi salam is the person that you say you are following. So now let's look at what Ibrahim alayhi salam lived for and what he called to, and then see yourselves in light of that and accept this message. So with that, we come to the end of today's session.